Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 498 for July 7th, 2021. And how's it going, everybody? I am Josh, Amatorado, call sign KI6NAZ. I know I say it every week, but truly this week it is real. We have a packed show, so we are going right into it. We got a lot of people here tonight. Woo! A full house, literally a full house. I had to pack this whole screen to get everybody in. Let's start with Joe right at the top. How you doing, Joe?
Well, hi, Josh, and it was good to hear you working some of those 13 colonies on HF. I heard you work, and we're going to be talking all about a 3D printed key that is easy for anybody to put together.
That's awesome. I did have to go to, I had to crank up the power a little bit to make a couple of those calls, but I did it. I think I got a clean sweep, I think. Valerie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hopefully everybody had a great 4th of July and a good field day. Speaking of which, we had a good field day, and I have a really good video I want to show you. Evan, Kilo Echo 8, Italy Delta Hotel. See if you can tell who he's working here.
All right, here we go.
Out of Toronto, they run they do
All right. Oh, yeah, it went out. Sorry about that. All right. Then over to Amanda. How you doing?
Full show, and I'll be trying to follow your questions and send them to the hosts after their segments. So send them my way. I'll pass them along.
All right. And Val, after we came back from the video, we missed that last part you said. Do you want to go back to what you said? I think you were mentioning who he was working.
Yeah, he worked NV9L during field day. Can you hear me? I'm seeing in the chat.
No, it was the video when we switched. It's no big deal. We got you now.
Oh, yeah. They were working the NV9L. Jerry and I were doing that, my call for field.
Oh, and then we lost you for a second. Maybe she'll come back. She's been having Skype issues today, she mentioned. Okay, well, we got that part. Are you back? Well, let's go to Dawn until she comes back.
Yeah, it's live TV. Hey, we had a great field day. Went over to George County, Mississippi, over to the little town of Loosedale, a few miles from the Alabama border, and worked with George County Aries over there. Had a great time. Thanks to those folks for the hospitality. And then 13 colonies, I managed to get the full pull. Very happy about that. For the first time, a complete log. I think I've had like one of the bonus stations always missing, but got it all this time. Used FT8 and FT4 for the first time, and that was quite interesting. So we'll talk more about that. And also, Dr. T is going to be with us via video talking about the big blackout that we had July 3rd. Were you on the air when the bottom fell out? Yeah, yes. It was pretty wild. Yes. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit, Josh.
All right. And Gordo, how are you doing? What's going on?
All is well here. Field day, what a deal. More power to us, and that's what we're going to talk about and show you tonight. Power.
Right on. Well, Bob is back tonight. How are you doing, Bob? It's good to see you again. What's been going on?
Well, it's nice to be here. I don't think I've been on for a year. Maybe there was one in there, but to let everybody know, I haven't escaped the earth. I've been doing club presentations. I did number 210 right before, that was July 2nd, I think it was. And I've been doing these Zoom club meetings, and I love sharing the science of this hobby. So that's where I've been every night. Sometimes they go for 2 or 3 hours. They just won't let me go. But we get into great question and answer periods and helping a lot of people, guys and gals
Oh boy, Skype just completely crashed for me. Wow. Hold on. That's fun. Wow, Skype
It is
just
a very
completely crashed.
popular night.
Skype just completely crashed on my end. That was really weird. So you're back. You're back. Sorry about that. So I think I lost the
What's
last
going
10
on?
seconds of what you said. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, but everything's frozen. What's up?
Oh, I don't know. We're having internet troubles, I think. Maybe we just
Live
have,
TV.
It's the live, and then we got everybody on here. So I can hear you. I think we're back on. Bob, the last 10 seconds or so, what you said, I think we lost it.
Yeah, I was just saying, I just love sharing the science of this great hobby, and that's what I've been doing. But I saved the Wednesday night. It was usually that's the most popular club meeting night, I think. So I blocked a couple. So here we are, and I hope everybody's doing well through all the pandemic. And we'll see you on the air because I'm on there every day also. So thanks for having me on, Josh.
No problem. And we'll just go right over to you. I think you got a slideshow for us and a little bit of a talk. We'd love to hear it.
I do. I've been studying a lot about equalization. I got into this way back in the 60s and 70s, but especially in the 70s when Paul Klipsch got a hold of me and took me under his wing. And one of the things about it was equalization. At that time in 1967, I was building big sound systems and out with all the major groups. I'm sure a lot of you know my history there. But one day Paul called and he said, I want to come and see one of those 10,000 watt PAs we had. And it was the start of a great part of my life because he guided me to the studies of Bell.
Oh, I lost Bob for a second. Bob, are you there?
They had, yes.
No, you're back.
Well,
we lost you for a second. I think you're good.
Whoa. There was no speech articulation. So what they do, they put it in the hands of the 4,000 scientists at Bell Labs. Yes, there were 4,000 of them, and they had the telephone system flatten response, but that didn't seem to do anything because they couldn't hear each other, couldn't understand each other. So these two guys came to the rescue, Dr. Harvey Fletcher and Dr. Weldon Munson. I'm sure you've heard of the Fletcher-Munson curve. They figured it out. Our ears do not hear flat, and we cannot rely on some of the early graphs. What they decided, and this is very interesting to all ham radio operators, maximum speech articulation for that telephone system, as well as any communication system, had to have a rise at 2 to 3K, usually 2.5K. That's the sweet spot. And now that they discovered it, how they want to figure out how to correct it, they had to do some filters. There were no equalizers. This is 1920. So with resistors and capacitors, they could build a high-pass filter, and they could roll off some of the lows. If they needed to increase the lows, they could do a low-pass filter. And then from there, the term equalizer was born because up until then, they didn't have any kind of controls or knobs or anything. They did it with resistors and capacitors. Or there was this genius young guy who worked for RCA, John Volkmann, and he figured it out because he was working for RCA in the motion picture industry for the playback systems. And he built what was really attested to the first equalizer. It was very crude, but it worked. And he had various low-pass filters and various high-pass filters, and he could switch in what he needed for those particular times that when he needed highs or lows or whatever. And what's interesting, everybody, is we're talking 1925, 26. Nothing happened in equalization up until the right into the 1960s. Then Langevin came up in 67 with the very first equalizer with slide controls. And then they really blew the lid off of it in 68. Now, you got to think about this. There was no equalization happening for all those decades. And all of a sudden, 1967, 68, here they came. And from there, it went really crazy. They had a guy by the name of Daniel Flickinger. He designed the first parametric, what means you could change the shape of the filters. And that was very interesting, because bandwidth filters they're very necessary as to how wide you want that audio to be. And the bandwidth refers to the difference between the lower frequency and the higher one. And like in the Yaesu radios today, you can do that with those. In the broadcast world, it's all done with parametric EQ. This is a Symmetrics 528E, and it's a 3-band parametric. That's exactly what I used to scale when I designed the equalizers for all the Yaesus, starting with their 9000. That's what's really inside it. That's what I did for Dr. Hasegawa. So if you have a Yaesu, there's your equalizer. But I came back to radio in 1976. I had got my my advanced license. I was just really upset. What happened to the great Art Collins audio? It was all mushy and bassy, and well, they had their matching microphones, and there were no equalizers. And so I built the EQ200. Didn't know what was going to be in front of me, but I wrote an article for QST, and in 1982, the equalizer was introduced to the amateur radio world. It was the first equalizer, and from there, it went crazy. Dr. Inouye from ICOM, he came to me and wanted to use our equalizer in his radios. And so from there, it gets really crazy. But that's some of the very beginnings of equalization, because we just didn't have a lot going on. And all of a sudden, after the EQ200, everybody woke up, and that really worked well. I got a little thing I'll play for you here. Let me change a microphone. And there we go. One of the issues that we find in all of our amateur radio is that they don't have any kind of equalization that's usable in the receivers. Yeah, they have one, but it's not usable. And so I came up with what we call the parametric receive audio system. And the system really works well. And it's designed for amateur radio. And this is what we find about it. Again, any one of our systems receivers can plug into this. I have a tape that I want to play for you. This is coming off at 20 meters, and it'll let you hear.
I speeded up the tape, and sure enough, I can copy it.
Here's a DX station. The way you hear it. Flat. No matter what you do.
Echo India 8 Bravo, Lima Bravo, PI ATLB calling about.
It's back to flat.
4 Sierra Germany, overhead right. What is the debut from Ireland? Name is Lima India Alpha Mike, over. CQ, pending meters. Echo India 8 Bravo, Lima Bravo, PI ATLB calling about.
And it's truly an amazing piece of gear. I'm very, very blessed to be able to do that, because what happened is there are so many people came to me after it was out there, and now we're going crazy building them. People that have hearing problems. And this is it's just the most incredible thing for those guys and gals. One of the things I did is I have not one, but 2 headphone amps. These are not Y cords like all the other crap you see out there. No, they're specific line out amplifiers for a logger and an operator, or left side, right side. And I get so many guys today thanking me for this, because
I give them their radio back, they tell me, and it really works well. We also have an output. It's a separate amplifier that comes out, plug that into your computer, and you can make all kinds of nice recordings without Y cords or anything else. But it's a wonderful device, and we're very happy. And now there are televisions and computers that we're finding all kinds of homes for it. But I built it primarily for ham radio, and it's gone way beyond that. But just wanted to let you know where I've been, because I haven't been here. But I've been doing a lot of things and trying to help more people get more out of their ham radio. And I do hope that everybody's enjoying the bands today. I hear it all the time. Oh, the bands are terrible. No, they're not. You just get in there. There's something somewhere.
Yep.
Always. And I get a lot of these clubs I speak to. Oh, the bands are. No, they're not. And they might be in a specific frequency you are, but you move around, you'll find out even 6 meters is open every once in a while. I took all my 6 meter antennas down. I got real sad about that a few years back, because everything's either FT8 or it's, I just want your grid square. Nobody wants to talk to you. Well, the band's been open here lately, and I'm finding a little bit more. I'm using a 20 meter it's a tri-band, actually, the Force 12. I'm using that on 6 meters, and it works great. Of course, when the band's open, you could work with a 54-inch whip, but just try it. Just don't. Well, I can't do. You try it. You'd be really surprised. And you go around listening on 15 or 18. There's always somebody somewhere. Really is. But I thank you for letting me come on today, and any of you that are having trouble with your setting of your equalizers, why, no problem. We have a lot of stuff on our website, heilsound.com, to help you set all of these, especially the Yaesus. But they're real easy once you get into it, and we got some easy stuff there.
I've got a couple of questions, I think, Bob. I've got two for you, and then I think Amanda has some. So the first is, you gave me a number. How many clubs have you done talks with now? Since what was the month you gave me? Since February, I think you said?
February of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I started that. That's why I didn't come on to Hamnation with you guys. I'd started doing these in January. I did a couple, but then I'm being bombarded with emails. Hey, I heard you did this. And so from February of 2020 till last Thursday night, I've done 210.
Wow.
That's impressive.
And some of as I said, we end up usually playing a little bit organ concert and stuff. So when they get it, some I want to get into my rock and roll history, and others just want to know, what about that 128 element antenna, and just a variety of subjects. And I'm just always thrilled to share all this, because that's what ham radio is about for me. But yeah, it's been really something, Josh, but I'm really happy to be able to help a lot of people.
It is an impressive number for sure. Also, second question, what is that audio meter behind your head right under the red? Is that a Thunderbird? The red Thunderbird there?
No, that comes from a very good friend of mine, Mike DeRoe, K06NM. He's one of my AM buddies in California, and he built this isn't a VU meter, it's a loudness meter. Practically every radio station in the country has a DeRoe loudness meter. It's very calibrated, and I use it when I'm checking microphone levels, gain, so on, because it's calibrated down to a decibel. And it's really neat. Here I just have it hooked up, and it's hooked up to the output of my mixer. But I do use it all the time, just making sure the levels are right, because it is a scientific meter. It's not just a flashing meter, but that's what it is, a DeRoe loudness meter. And all kinds of broadcast supply companies have that for sale.
Very good. Somebody mentioned in the chat they wanted to know what your receiver you were showing, or your equalizer. I pulled up the website. It's the Parametric Receive Audio Systems Equalizer that you can find. Bob, I mean, you can find it anywhere now pretty much, right? The ham radio outlet. Where else is it?
Sure. All the stores have it, but ham radio outlet is a good place for it. The other thing about it is the speaker. Paul Clips was just an incredible guy, and he shared a lot of knowledge with this kid when I was young. And the speaker is exactly follows exactly what he did. You'll notice the speaker has a huge magnet. There are all these things out here, but they're not very good. And I worked hard to find a company that would build that for me. Then we take that into free air, do a cone resonance, and you figure out what the resonance of that cone is, and you treat the cabinet to that frequency so there's no phase distortion. And it has a 3.5-inch tweeter in it with a passive crossover, but it has an amplifier of 25 watts at 0.1%. You go find speakers today, and you'll find the percentage is up around 10. And what really ticks me off is you can find today all the transceivers, none of them have less than 5% distortion, and some of them have 10%. That just drives me crazy. The listener fatigue is awful. And so I did something about it, because the parametric receive system is very, very great. It comes out of the product detector or the receiver. It'll come out of the speaker out if you use real low level and the distortion's low. But it's a wonderful device, and I'm very happy to be able to bring it to so many for not only ham radio, but as I said, computers, televisions. I have one on my own television. It's wonderful. So it's really it's got some legs, and it's really starting to make some inroads to helping a lot of people.
Very good. Okay, Amanda, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I had one. Hi, Delta wanted to say hi. Please ask Bob about the RIAA frequency response curve and its effect on the intelligibility of recordings. Go, Bob.
Oh, well, that happens years back with records. The RIAA, you see, when you remember those big platters, and the needle? Well,
yes.
That needle, they couldn't put very much low end in it because it would cause a needle to jump out of the grooves. So when records are cut, they're cut with the low end being rolled off. The Recording Institute of America, they came up with a curve, and all of those things, the preamps for a record player, had a boosted low end, again, equalization. And that was their curve. That was a standard for in those days, the 33 1/3 and the 45s and all of that. And it's still out there, but it really governs what that curve's going to be. But for speech, 2.5K is golden. You just heard it back there, and I can also show you here. This is flat. Well, listen to what happens when I take 2.5 away. It's very hard to understand the difference of an F and an S. There's no P or a B sequence. The essence of sound is lost. Now, all I'm bringing back is 2.5, and when I bring back that 2.5, it's beautiful. And the essence, the syllables, it's there. Without that rise in that equalization, you're lost. All the ham radio receivers are like that, and that's why I said we have to do something. So that's the secret of it right there.
Amazing. Bob, we're out of time, but I wanted to make sure all the hosts get to say hi to you on the show and have comments. So ladies first, Val, go ahead.
Muted. Oh,
you're muted, Val.
So hopefully it's nice to have you on the show. It feels like old times again, and hopefully we're going to have you back a lot more often now that you've got this product out. And just so glad to see you and Sarah and everything doing well.
Thank you. I'll be here for number 500. I've already blocked.
That's good.
500. Okay, let's go, Don. Go.
Yeah, I got a chance to use the parametric receive EQ for the first time in battle conditions, so to speak, in field day, and I have got to get one of those. My ears, from wearing broadcast headphones for over 4 decades, are not what they should be anymore. And these things are great right here, but man, it's nice to sometimes just sit back and talk into this and have that audio right here and not have to wear the headset. And I've got to get one of those. Those things are great, Bob. Just absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, now, Joe, you take it away.
All right. And Bob, you see, I've got these too. This is where I make my scores in the contest, but I definitely need to get the Praz system now that I have the shack in order and the grounding system and all the new feed lines and everything. It's ready to go, and I'm sure that will help. I saw your demo, and absolutely amazing that it will pull out the DX as it does. And good to see you, Bob.
Well, good to see you, Joe, and thanks for all you do out there.
Joe has some amazing segments coming on this show. He's a great addition, Bob, I have to tell you. Josh, anything else?
Oh no, I'm just glad he came on. It's always fun. I've loved the live demo of hearing the audio, particularly having it recorded real DX, right, and how it pulled the character out, and you could actually copy the DX at that point. So thank you, Bob, for sharing that. I always appreciate that.
Absolutely. Last but definitely not least, we have Mr. Gordo, and he's going to go right into his segment. So, Gordo, go ahead. Take it away.
Well, as you can see right here, every day when I'm on the air, I use the parametric receive audio system. The big speaker just off the camera keeps me tuned in. Well, let's tune in on field day operations and see what happens when you haven't got enough power. And I don't mean power output. I mean power to run all of your gear. Now, as you can see here, running all of your gear on field day goes back many, many years for me. I'm not in this photo, but it goes back to the 69s and 70s when we converted over marine radios and operated them in the field. Now, of course, our power comes from monocrystalline and polycrystalline solar panels. The monos are about 10% higher in efficiency. The polycrystallines, they have a big feature that if you get a little shadow on them, the diodes will isolate out that shadow, and the polycrystalline solar panels will really shine and deliver the current. Flexible monos, we have one just out of the picture on the comm van. They are about 10% less efficiency than the regular mono or poly, but the flexible monos really are great for the top of a vehicle where you need to just plain glue them down. Now, one thing that will take away on these solar panels is hot sunshine. Hot sunshine can kill as much as 30% efficiency. So you got to have them in the sun, but you want to be able to have a breeze that can blow by them to keep them nice and cool. So field day operations, we'd like to start out with 13.8 or maybe 14 volts and have that voltage hold. But as soon as you begin to start transmitting, it drops down on a lead acid battery from maybe 13.5, 13.8 to about 12.7. However, a freshly charged lithium iron phosphate, not a lead acid that's flooded or a sorbed gas mat, but lithium iron phosphate gives a constant output. And even though under a load, you're going to find that running a field day setup like this, you'll continue to stay on the air, even though it is being dogged down. And I always like to have a current meter, a good old-fashioned d'Arsenal meter, registering what's happening with the solar panels. And these solar panels that you see there are from BioEnno. Now, write that down. B as in boy, IOENNO, power. And look that up on the computer, and you'll see all about the BioEnno products. One of the best products are, of course, the charge regulators and a pulse width modulation that some of the folks would sell at a normal hardware store or automotive store. They're pretty noisy on high frequency, but the Bioinno folks have figured out how to get pulse width so it's not noisy on HF. There's also maximum power point tracking. That's about 20% more efficient, and that's going to give you a little bit more current. Now, if you look up above there, you'll see a 12.06. We really pulled that down after 3 days of field day. But look at that, 12 amps on key down CW, and it's still holding up above 12 volts. Of course, a good battery and good connections are very important. And when I say good connections, I don't mean things like this. While they've got some good heavy leads, the connection really could use some baking soda. So you really want to make sure that you don't feed that great $300 and $400 solar panel through a whole bunch of resistance wires and iffy connections like you see here. Fuses. These are the old-time fuses, and the fuse can rob power, especially if the fuse is all corroded like we see here. Yep, on a clean fuse, you can clean up the contacts, and on a solar panel, you're going to find that fuses might drop anywhere from a quarter to a half an amp of charging current if they're not making a good connection. The fuses I like are those from the automobile industry, audio hi-fi vehicle automobile industry. They use gold-plated contacts, much larger fuses in the 3AGs, and I tell you, 13.4 in comes out about 13.4 out with no voltage drop. And watch out for selector switches. If you don't regularly cycle the selector switches between your different batteries on your mobile communications van, as we do, you'll find they get fuzzy and they can drop as much as 1 or 2 amps of charging current. So one day when nothing is connected up, just rotate it back and forth, because you can't get into them to clean them, but just rotating the contacts will really help out. Now, the batteries, again, from Bioinno, these are lithium iron phosphate. And for the last 5 years, we've been using the Bioinno Power lithium iron phosphate batteries out at field day where the panels get hot and we need every ounce of charging current. You can see Ray's ICOM is still going strong, even though we had high winds that tore up our station several years ago. But the lithium iron phosphate batteries are very forgiving. If you short them out, they simply trip offline, hit them again with about 13 volts, and they'll be back online again. And they just keep rolling and rolling. And you say, oh, gosh, how expensive? Well, the lithium iron phosphate are more expensive than flooded. The lithium iron phosphate will be about $10 an amp. So 20 amps is about a $200 battery. But the neat thing about it is they hold their charging voltage and the current to run that radio up to 90% of the battery being pulled out of it. 90%, it's still going strong. They don't begin to really dwindle till the last 10%. The Anderson connectors, holy smoly, we saw a bunch of them fail at field day this past time. Even the ones where we made good tight connections with the right conductors, even the professional panels, you've got to watch out. These survived well, being in the sun and so on. However, some older panels, when you would begin to make connections, you notice that the receiver begins to wiggle. Or some of the receivers, being in the sun, baked them to the point that when you plugged in, they broke off the plastic. This is not good, especially when you go to unplug it and it pulls right off the circuit board, as you can see here on this inexpensive panel. Oh my gosh, there's not a trace of solder on the top part of the board, so it was only the bottom holding it together. Yep, not a trace. So as we try and figure out what's going on, we see that the receiver actually has two, it looks like about 14 gauge, maybe 12 gauge solid wires that have been cut off, and they're going to be the conveyance of the charging current. And if we take the panel apart, you can see that, well, we've got good connections for the incoming and outgoing voltages where the fuse and the Andersons were just on the circuit board. Make sure you have eye protection. Get in there nice and close. I've turned this 90 degrees. Make sure that the new connection is protruding through the holes. And Joe is going to tell you all about the best way and the best soldering iron. I like to use a really hot one, but Joe's the expert there. I heat that connection up so that solder is going to flow all the way through to the inside of that Anderson connection. And then when you're ready to cut it off, be careful. When you use diagonals and you snip them like this, it's going to go off like a gunshot. So be sure and have eye protection. Cut it off nice and short. Look for a nice clean connection like you see there. And then when you plug into that panel, it's not going to wiggle. Now, some of the panels have fuses. And, well, of course, they all have fuses, but fuses that you can get at. But many times you have to pull these automobile-type fuses to be able to see whether they're blowing or not. So, okay, that one's okay. Time to put it back in, and you get it all positioned up. You're ready to plug it back. Oh, no! Oh! And if you don't catch it at this point, now you've got to take the whole mama panel apart again because it's going to rattle around on the inside. I prefer the more elaborate panels from Rig Runner, and they are using a technology that has a little light emitting diode, and if you pop a fuse, the little LED lights up, so without having to worry about it failing. And also the way this fuse plugs in, you'll see you don't accidentally run the chance of shorting it out. And of course, distribution Anderson connections, these are good because all of the insides are fairly heavy gauge copper conductors, and it's a little kludgy to have this many all plugged in, but I like it where they're all plugged in nice and close because I know I'm probably going to have minimal voltage drop. So I encourage all of you that after field day, make sure and take a look at what's going on with voltage. And if you transmit on whatever rig up to 10 or 15 amps, like we're doing here, and you see that power begin to fade away, then chances are you need to think about a little better Anderson connection. So go with the best with good Andersons. And if we have any questions, Amanda, I'll take them at this time.
I would just like to say my question is, how important are these Anderson poles, power poles? It's versatile. You take them to your field day. They're connected to your rig. You can just plug in and go, right? Gordo, that's what this is all about.
It is. The Andersons are actually ARRL, Amateur Radio Emergency Service approved, and Racy's even has adopted them. And the BioEnno batteries that you see here, here's a BioEnno 12 amp battery. And by the way, this is only about maybe 40% the weight of what would be a comparable motorcycle battery at 12 ampere hours. Here's the Andersons that they provide. Then here's another one already attached for charging the battery, or you can charge the battery off the Andersons. But this kept me on the air for 2 days a couple of years ago for field day, and that's the BioEnno battery, and it's a real workhorse.
All right, and I just want to say one thing about BioEnno. Somebody had kind of like, oh, it's kind of a commercial for them. No, not really. You know what? These guys and gals, whoever owns this company, goes out and supports like a lot of ham fests and a lot of special event stations and a lot of de-expeditions. So they're really putting money back into amateur radio. So no, it's not. We're not a commercial for them. That they're actually very useful in the field for hams. So,
yep.
Josh, don't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. That's what I use in the field. There are other good batteries. It's just, why do people talk about one particular brand? Because they have a history of generally being really good. I mean, that's we're not an affiliate for them at all here. So
No, but they do support a lot of amateur radio stuff. So they're paying for QSL cards and equipment and everything else and a lot of other things. So you should probably try to support them if possible. And they always have great booths at all the ham fests. So thank you, Gordo. Always a wonderful segment. We appreciate it. So I'm going to send it over to Josh.
Okay, well, that's me going to ICOM.
June kicked off hurricane season, and another rough wildfire season may be on the horizon. When natural disasters strike, cellular towers and power grids can quickly become overloaded and incapacitated. Emergency comms need to be instant, reliable, and allow interoperation with other organizations and agencies for relief coordination. Amateur radio provides reliable emergency communications with the added security of system redundancy. In addition to ICOM's lineup of amateur D-Star, digital, HF, and analog radios, ICOM IC SAT-100 portable satellite radio and IP501 HM LTE radios are an ideal solution for additional coverage. Use ICOM's VE-PG4 ROIP gateway to bridge these radios and more to various modern communication systems, creating a seamless network. You can count on ICOM. ICSAT-100 is the perfect handheld satellite radio for use outside of cellular or network range. By operating on Iridium's constellation of satellites, quickly and easily connect with other PTT devices even from remote areas. Mobile versions are also available. One-to-many global comms with the push of a button. ICOM's IP501H and IP501M radios provide instant wide area coverage over LTE. By using an LTE network, you bypass the need for pre-existing infrastructure, allowing nationwide coverage without the added cost of building and maintaining your own. Instant wide area coverage over LTE with ICOM's IP501 connect to all these devices and more, even systems operating on different protocols with VE-PG4 ROIP gateway. From land mobile and LTE radios to IP communication terminals and IP phone systems, they work together to form one seamless and uninterruptible network, ensuring your comms are received. Bridge connection between radio systems, LTE transceiver gateway, IP phone interconnect, multi-site connection between VE-PG4S, and external equipment connection. ICOM's VE-PG4 is the solution for your interoperability needs. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
And I did it. I muted myself again. I apologize. Let's do that one more time, then I'll edit that. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Thank you again, ICOM. We really do appreciate sponsoring the show. Want to remind everybody that ICOM does a bi-weekly giveaway. Every 2 weeks, they give away 3 winners of swag products, and then end of the month, they give away a radio, which is an ID5100 this month, a mobile radio, fantastic radio. So make sure you're clicking the link and joining on that site so you can get access to the giveaways. This week's winners of the swag prizes are Eddie Bryant, W3ETB, Michelle Fridlin, KN6OED, Sherrod Fox, KB3IBK. And I'll just remind people, this is why you want to watch live, so you can see the mistakes happen, because I'm going to cut all this stuff out, so, just keep that in mind. Anyway. Wanted to say thanks to ICOM. Appreciate the support. We really do. And all the little bumps tonight, I'm having fun. I hope everybody else is. I'm throwing it to Valerie. Valerie, we're going to learn some fun stuff right now with her interview. So take it away, Val. Oh, I don't have Valerie. Is she back? Uh-oh, did we lose Valerie? She's frozen.
She's having horrible issues. Internet connections, you guys.
Okay.
If she doesn't join, I'm sure I could wing the interview, but let's hope she comes back.
Okay, let's give it a second. Well, do we have any questions that happened since any of that, Amanda, that we didn't catch?
Can I talk about 500 since we have some downtime?
Yeah, let's talk about 500 and then we'll do that.
So, this promo is coming out, you guys and gals, but we're going to tell it right here tonight. Guess what? We've got a sweet sweet package coming out for the 500th show giveaway from ICOM. Thank you so much. Oh, and there's Valerie. Oh, I'm going to leave you guys hanging.
Yep, you're going to have to wait for the teaser then. So you have to wait till the end of the show.
Val.
Okay, so I'm not sure what you missed, but I'm joined here with Paula and Bill, K9IR AC 0 Alpha Charlie 0 Whiskey, and they're going to talk to you about the portable challenge. So for those of you who like to operate portable, get your pen and paper. We're going to start it off. I believe, Bill, you're going to take it away and kind of tell everybody what the portable challenge is all about.
Yes, Val. This is an idea of Frank, K4 Mike, Fox Mike Hotel. He likes to operate portable, and he also likes to operate contests. And he finds when he does operate a contest portable, he's not very competitive. So he came up with this idea: how do we make the portable stations competitive with handicaps and such with the fixed stations? And developed this contest, the Portable Operators Challenge. And this year we're going to have it first weekend in September, which I know is here in the U.S. is Labor Day weekend, but this is an international contest happening, so we can get hams all around the world involved with this. And he put together a committee of both contest operators and portable operators to work out the details of this. And it was very interesting having our discussions, and because everybody's, pretty strongly opinioned on how to do a contest or how to do portable operating. But we gradually got a set of rules together, and really looking forward to doing it this year. We did have it last year. We had a little bit of a challenge in that we limit the period that people can operate, but we had such a big window that people missed each other on the air. So this year we're trying 4 4-hour sessions, so that hopefully people from, you can catch people in different parts of the world on at the same time as you are. And again, it's September 4th and September 5th. We have a session at 800 UTC to 1159 UTC. The second session starts at 1600, goes to 1959, and the last session starts at 000 on September 5th and goes to 0359. There is only one category. Everybody competes against everybody else, regardless of what power. The rules are set up so that your points are varied based on your power and the distance that you talk to somebody. The exchange is very simple, grid square, that's it. And you move on. So we hope to get a lot of people on that weekend. And as always, I enjoy contests and have a lot of fun at it. So hopefully everybody else will have fun on that.
So I think the website, for all of you out there interested, just go to foxmikehotel.com/portable. Is that right, Paula?
I believe
so.
It's /challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's /challenge. There you go. foxmikehotel.com/challenge, and that should bring you up to this website here, so you can learn all about it. Amanda, do you have any questions from the chat room about the Portable Operator Challenge? You can. Paula's going to take it away on those Q&A.
I do, and welcome, Paula. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a few here. I'd like to know the goal, and B, who should be supporting or joining in on this?
Well, the goal really is to provide a little bit more of an even playing field for portable operators and contests. Right. And so in many ways, it's to encourage them to feel that they really have a chance to win this one. In terms of who should be participating, we feel very strongly, those of us on the steering committee for the contest, that this is really a contest that everybody should consider. Whether you're operating from a home station, whether you're operating portable, and we hope that more and more people will think about operating portable, but it's a contest. And so if you enjoy doing contests, this is another challenge. This is a challenge that some diehard contesters may feel initially kind of cuts them out because they spend a lot of time building a station and they don't want to work with a handicap. And to them, I would suggest view this as being the handicap of a solar cycle or the handicap of otherwise not good band conditions, or the so-called handicap that a lot of contests have, like NAQP, with power limits.
Right.
So this contest has a few other limits as well, but that just provides an additional challenge for everybody who's participating.
And so do you get any bonus points if you go do a POTA in your portable or soda or anything like that work in this contest?
We don't have that currently. It's an interesting idea. And I think, as Bill mentioned, we had done some evolution with the rules between last year and this year. And maybe that is something that we would consider. But as the rules are set up right now, the two categories are portable and fixed, or a home station, and no grades in between with the portable stations for POTA, soda, and the like.
All right. Well, this sounds simple enough, but the home stations are going to find a way to get some more points there. How would you like to encourage them to do things differently at their home station to do better in the contest?
Well, like so many contests, certainly one way to do better is to maximize the number of QSOs. Mm-hmm. Self-spotting is allowed in this contest, so folks can self-spot and make everybody else aware that, hey, I'm a station that's participating in this. If it's possible to peel back a bit on your power at your home station, that's another way to augment your results, much as the portable stations are dealing with as well. So there's a few things you can do with reviewing the rules to provide a little bit more impact, even from a home or a fixed station.
Absolutely. It sounds like a really fun, challenging contest. And the other thing I wanted to ask this, so this is the second year, is that correct? And how many participants did you have the first year?
This is our second year. I think we had about, and Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had about a dozen participants in our initial year. And I think, as Bill pointed out, I think one of the difficulties we recognized in reviewing the first year is that people were having trouble finding each other on the air because we had such a large window for operating. And to address that, we're not only encouraging such things as self-spotting and such, but also created these smaller windows to make it easier for people to find each other during those operating windows of time.
All right, so we gotta pump up those numbers, right, Val?
Absolutely.
We gotta get more people involved.
Is this available through like the normal logging softwares like N1MM, or is it in the user-defined section? Does anybody know, or is it available?
Yes, there are two software programs, two logging programs that can be that are set up or have made adjustments for this contest. N1MM is one of them. We felt it was very important for a contest to provide software that is recognized by many contesters and is considered a standard. There is also a software package that's used by a lot of portable operators. I don't personally use it, so I don't recall the name of it, but that software package has also made adjustments to accommodate this contest as well.
Okay. Wow. So if it's not in the drop down, you probably need to go to N1MM, go into the menu, into the user-defined contest, find it in there, download it, and it'll put it in that folder for you. So then it will then be in your drop down when you go back into N1MM.
That's correct. I
think I did a video on that, kind of how to pull up a user-defined contest into your N1MM on my YouTube channel, for those of you who don't know how to do that. So if it's not in the drop down, you'll find it in the user-defined on their website.
All right.
All right.
Anybody else with questions?
I have a couple more. Just myself. We're we're almost always camping over that weekend, and this is a lot of us hams want to go portable while we're camping. So y'all keep me in the loop, and I would love to post this to some ham RVers groups on Facebook and get some more interest. So because they're already throwing out a wire in a tree, so they might as well get involved in a contest and have some fun with it. So and I'm one of those people. I'm first to admit I'd love to, whenever you can, do a contest. So Bill and Paula, thank you so much for joining us. Val, thanks for bringing this to our attention. I appreciate it. And
Yes.
I look forward to this event. And we might have to have you on quickly at the end of August to remind people to get involved with this.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other contests going on that weekend. So
We would really
Yeah,
welcome
and
that.
thank you again
so
for
much.
joining us. And yeah. Also, speaking of contests, don't forget this weekend is the IARU HF Championship, everybody. So get on the air for that too.
yeah.
I think that's all we've got for tonight. So I'm going to head it over to Don with Amateur Radio Newsline.
Thanks, Val.
Thanks a lot, Val. We've got some great information about this X-Class flare from Dr. Tamitha Scove. Were you on the air on the 3rd when it dropped out
Yep.
completely?
Yep.
Just amazing. She'll have details on that right after we give you the news of the week from Amateur Radio Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2279, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, July 7th, 2021. Our top story this week comes from Australia, where hams have been waiting for official word on their request to get 2x1 contest call signs.
The Australian Communications and Media Authority has advised amateurs that it'll be approving the use of 2x1 call signs for contesting shortly. The ACMA said in its June 29th e-bulletin that it's working out how the call signs will be issued. The new call signs will be implemented by the Australian Maritime College. The 2x1 call signs are to be restricted to use specifically during local and international contests and may only be issued to advanced class licence holders. There were no further details on the timetable nor on the specifics of the implementation. Meanwhile, the AMC has advised amateurs that while a call sign application system is being finalised, no one is to apply for any 2x1 call signs, since none's available yet and the correct application system is not yet live. Any hams who have mistakenly applied for the 2x1 call signs will have their monies refunded. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm John Williams, VK4JJW.
The popular small satellites known as CubeSats will soon have another avenue into the sky.
CubeSats, and more CubeSats. That's what is on the agenda for Launcher, a space startup that hopes to carry stacks of CubeSats skyward next year using a satellite platform known as Orbiter, which has a maximum carrying capacity of 330 pounds or 150 kilograms. According to an announcement made by the California-based company, Orbiter will be used first for ride-share missions and will be launched on a SpaceX rocket. The company said Orbiter has a contract with SpaceX to fly in October of 2022. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Stephen Kinford, N8WB.
Remember the excitement over that first day at camp? Well, it's about to happen for some young radio operators at the first camp of its kind in this part of the world.
Camp is in session in just another week or so for young amateur radio operators. But this isn't just any camp. It's the first of its kind for young radio operators ages 15 to 25 in North, Central, and South America. The Youth on the Air Camp in the Americas will take place from Sunday, July 11th to Friday, July 16th at the National Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting near Cincinnati, Ohio. The highlights of the week include a scheduled contact with an astronaut aboard the International Space Station through the ARIS program and a week-long special event station W8Y, which will be operating on HFN satellite. Even if you're no longer a young radio operator or your QTH is outside the U.S., you can still be part of some of the camp's activities. The Youth on the Air YouTube channel will be streaming the ARIS Contact live and will also carry the opening and closing ceremonies live. The keynote speaker for Sunday's opening ceremony is Tim Duffy, K3LR. The camp's director is Amateur Radio Newsline's own Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. The ARIS Contact will take place either Wednesday, July 14th or Thursday, July 15th. For additional details, visit the website at youthontheair.org. We here at Newsline wish Neil and the campers all the best, great times, and great contacts. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Dave Parks, WB8ODF.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With John Williams, VK4JJW, Stephen Kinford, N8WB, Dave Parks, WB8ODF, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now, here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
We've had 4 major flares over the past 24 hours, including an X-class flare, and although things have died down for the moment, we do have a couple new regions emerging on the Earth-facing disk that could pick activity right back up again. Those stories and more in the news this week. Space weather this week has been a total game changer. As we take a look at our front side sun, you can see back on the second, on the sun's west limb, you start seeing a little bit of a region begin to grow, and it starts growing fast. This is region 2838, and within less than a day of it being formed, it begins to fire off flares. As first it starts off with C-class flares early on July 3rd, but then by mid-morning, wham, it fires off an M-class flare. This was an M2.7, and it launches a solar storm off to the sun's west limb. Then it waits for a second, and then look at this. Wham! Here's an X 1.5 flare. Oh my goodness, it's the first X-class flare of solar cycle 25, but it doesn't wait long, and wham! There's another M-class flare goes off. Oh my goodness, this thing is just rapid firing. It's like pop, 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 pop. And then for the next 24 hours, it continues to fire more flares. Finally, it fires a parting shot. Bam! Right there. That's another M-class flare. And then it begins to rotate off of the sun's west limb and behind the sun. And sure enough, we know it's still firing off big flares. But now that it's occulted, meaning that it's hiding behind the sun's west limb, it's harder to see, and we can't really see those flares anymore, so we're protected. So for now, the show is beginning to die down, thankfully. But while this whole region has been giving us this incredible paparazzi show with the flash bulbs, look over in the northeast, you can see region 2839 beginning to emerge. And sure enough, this region, I don't know if it's going to be repeating what 2838 did, but it's already fired off a C-class flare, so it looks like it wants to join the party. So we're keeping our eyes on this one to see whether or not it's going to start becoming a major flare player as well. But whew, boy, it's been a busy, busy day. And now taking a look at the far side of the sun, this is stereo A, and it's looking at the sun just a little bit from the side. But believe it or not, stereo's view didn't get to see any of that flare action that we saw at Earth. As a matter of fact, you can't even see region 2838 in stereo's view at all. But what you can see are the new regions 2839 and even a region behind it in the northern hemisphere that's forming quite rapidly. And you can even see a little flare activity once again from region 2839. So we're going to be watching these regions as they rotate into Earth view to see whether or not they're going to start becoming big M flare players, just like region 2838 did. We also have a big coronal hole that's going to be rotating into Earth view in about 3 days or so, and that could actually bring us a chance for some fast solar wind and some aurora in about 10 days or more. So how do all these solar flares affect us here at Earth and in near-Earth space? Well, let's take a look at the X-ray flux. In fact, as you look at it, you can see it was pretty quiet until about the 3rd, and man, it's like a light switch flipped on, and suddenly it goes pop, 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 pop. Good night. It's almost like popping popcorn. There are so many flares. In fact, there are 11 flares in total, and 4 of them are major flares that cause radio blackouts. And in the middle of all that, you can see that X-class flare occurring. Now, with that X-class flare, we actually got more than just a typical radio blackout. There was also a radio burst associated with it, and that's when the sun screams at really high frequencies. And this is what's so important with things like space traffic. We did get some data from the E-Callisto network from the Blian Observatory that in fact showed that this radio burst actually went up to about 750 megahertz. Now, that may not seem like all that big a deal, but that's about about halfway up to the L band, and there are satellites that, like GPS and satellite phones, they actually communicate in the L band frequencies. So although we didn't quite get there with this particular radio burst, it is a reminder that when the sun screams, it can block radio communications from satellites to the ground. So we do have to be careful. Meanwhile, as we take a look down at Earth, look at the upper atmosphere. Now this is the DRAP model, and you can see it, the upper atmosphere just lighting up like a Christmas tree. Everywhere you see the lights going on, that is a solar flare that's occurring. The brighter ones are obviously the bigger solar flares. And what they're doing is that this is the day side of Earth, and they're lighting up and ionizing the upper atmosphere, causing radio communications blackouts. So my goodness, everybody on amateur radio on Earth's day side that had to deal with these flares were hearing lots of noise on the bands. In fact, some of them even told me they thought their radios were broken. So this is a good reminder that our sun is waking up, and that radio communications, both from satellites to the ground and also ground-based communications, can be affected by big solar flares. And this is just the way it is in our modern era. Switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we do have a coronal hole that's going to be rotating in through the Earth strike zone here over the next day or so. But honestly, as we take a look at stereo A, we haven't really seen that much of a boost in fast solar wind. So I'm not really sure it's going to hit us all that hard, sadly. So we may not get much of aurora from it. However, taking a look at Space Weather Prediction Center numbers, at high latitudes, they're expecting unsettled conditions, but they have given us about a 30% chance of a major storm that will wane over the next few days and then kind of quiet down. Now, mid-latitudes, we're also expecting unsettled, maybe even quiet conditions, but we do have up to about a 25% chance of active conditions. But again, we haven't seen much in the way of fast solar wind at the stereo, so I'm a little bit concerned that we're not going to see as much from this fast solar wind stream as we were hoping. But we'll keep our fingers crossed for you aurora photographers, because I know you're dying to get some action. So the space weather this week has been a total game changer. Not only have we had the first X-class flare of solar cycle 25, but this could signal that activity is going to continue to ramp up. So amateur radio operators and emergency responders, hey, you might get to enjoy the idea of solar flux increasing, causing that radio propagation all over the globe to begin to get better and better. Now, of course, you're going to have to deal with a little bit more noise on the bands, and of course some, radio blackouts from time to time from all the solar flares happening, but who cares about that, right? It's great radio propagation. Now, aurora photographers, you on the other hand, well, we do have a coronal hole that's rotating in through the Earth strike zone, which should send us some fast solar wind. But it may only be a small pocket of fast solar wind, if any, because we didn't see anything at stereo A, which is kind of sad. So likely it's a very narrow beam of fast solar wind, and that may mean we could get a little bit of something at high latitudes, but probably not down into mid latitudes. So don't be super excited about this particular chase. So we'll just have to kind of sit this one out, I think. Now, also, you GPS users, well, this is kind of a mixed blessing for you. Having the solar flux going up isn't so great for GPS, especially down at low latitudes. And of course, if you've been having trouble at the dawn dusk, in the dawn dusk range over the past couple days, well, you can basically blame the sun. It's not your drone, it's just the sun screaming. So you're going to have to worry about that kind of stuff in the future as we continue to have radio blackouts from some of these new regions that are beginning to finally pop. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
And thank you, Dr. T. By the way, everybody, you can follow Tamitha Skov on Twitter at Tamitha Skov. That is her hashtag. And also spaceweatherwoman.com. Is that correct, Josh?
Yes, it is at Tamitha Skov on Twitter, but you can search Dr. Tamitha Skov and it'll come up.
Yeah, just Google her. You're going to find how you can connect with her. And she has fantastic information first on her website and also on Twitter. She posts some amazing things and she retweets a lot. So thank you, Dr. T, as always, for your updated report. We appreciate it. Did anyone else experience the blackout?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, me too.
Definitely. Yeah, it was pretty severe for a couple hours.
It was ridiculous. And again, I thought my radio was broken. I'd go check my antenna, go check my feed line. Did somebody cut it? It was really crazy, ridiculous. So with that brings us to you, Joe. What do you got for us tonight?
Yeah.
What do I have? Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about a 3D printed CW key that I'm making into a little kit that I'll be doing in some group kit builds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen, and let's see if for some reason it's not going again.
Of course.
Yeah, I push the button. It says stop sharing. Okay, now share. Here we go. So it's thought I was still doing it. So how about...
There you go. But we lost your mic in the process.
Nope, you're good on audio, good on video.
All right.
There you go.
Well, we'll start here, and we're going to show you the parts involved in this. This is a design that was created by LA4ZCA in Norway. And it's an interesting little 3D pattern, and everybody's going to be asking me...
I lost his audio on my end.
Me too.
Same.
Okay,
Do you
well,
still hear me?
now we do.
No.
Boy, Skype had an update or something, and we're paying
Yeah.
for it. So
Yeah,
I think
because
that's
I
what
haven't
happened.
lost
everybody.
any of you. So
Yeah, I
okay.
lost you there. Okay.
Okay, this was designed by LA4ZCA in Norway, and he has made it freely available on Thingiverse. And the Thingiverse number, what we call the Thing number for 3D printers, is 3167343. That's 3167343, and that's the number you'll plug into the Thingiverse website, and you can download the pattern. Now, you don't have to do the two colors that I did. You can do it with any combination of colors or all the same color, whatever you want. But there are only two pieces that print in 3D, and one is the base and one is the key itself. And what I did was I decided, well, this would be a good kit for a group of people that's beginning, and all you have to make is 2 solder connections. So I went about finding all the little parts that it takes to put these together. So a trip to a kind of a hardware wholesaler, and I got the screws, which are metric because the original design of this was metric. So there are 5 screws in this, 2 little ones, 2 medium ones, and 1 long one. And you've got a washer and a spring and 2 solder lugs. You don't necessarily need the lugs, but they sure make a lot better connection. So that's why I included it. And we'll go through quickly what the process is of putting this together and why this is such a great project for a club or a hamfest or something where you want to do a kit build, but they don't need to be at the table all day. You can put one of these together in about 15 minutes or so. Very easy to put together. The cable that I used is an inexpensive audio cable. That's 2 stereo plugs. And all I do is I cut it in half because I only need 1 plug. So if I cut it in half, that means I've got a cable for 2 of these. So like I said, the parts cost is very low. If you buy the parts in bulk, it'll cost you about 60, 70 cents each to put these together. So you really can't beat it. The white part here is the top part, and it does not have to be white. It can be any color. But I discovered, at least on my printer, because I'm not printing as high a speed as a lot of people do, so I get a much higher quality and no stringiness or anything on it, and it looks real nicer and smoother. And the problem with going a little slower is you end up with what we call a foot at the bottom of a 3D printed object. It's not significant, but the problem is it makes it fit a little too tight into the base. So you can see there I have a Dremel tool that has a sanding bit, I also have just an emery board. And actually, if all you have is an emery board, you can just hand sand that, and it doesn't take but maybe about a minute or less to get the excess off. And you just do it until it seems to fit nice and slightly loosely in the base, so it moves freely. Next, these are the screws. Once again, these are metric screws. You have the longer one and the two shorter ones, and then the two medium ones. And then we have a washer and a spring, and we have two solder lugs. And the prescription for which size of screw is in the documentation on that thing number in Thingiverse. I am producing myself a more detailed assembly manual than is provided on that website, so that it's a little bit more appropriate for first-time builders. This is kind of a marked diagram of what the base is. You can see here there is an optional base screw. You don't need to do that if you're not going to mount it on anything. And deep in this well here towards the front is another larger hole, and that would be for a base screw also. That's so that you can screw it to like a piece of wood or something like that. If you want a more solid base to it, that is always an option. You can see the contact screw, the adjustment screw. There's a rectangular well, both on the top piece and the bottom for the spring. And the way you adjust the spring tension is sliding it forward or back in that space. And once you've put it in a position, it doesn't seem to move at all. And then on the sides, there are the two hinge screws. The wire goes in a back corner of this, and it comes out the side, but the side has a re-entry point. And so what you do is you shove the wire all the way through, and then you kind of make a loop, and then you shove it back in the other side of the side thing, which actually later on becomes the strain relief, so that if you pull on the cable, you're not going to rip this thing apart. So I leave it like that, and then I strip about 1 3/8 of the insulation off of the black insulation, the outer jacket of the wire, and it exposes the shield and then the two inner conductors. Now, these two inner conductors are the ring and the tip, is what we call them in connector terminology, and the sleeve is the farthest back towards the cable. And in this case, of course, the sleeve is the ground. So what I did was I twist the wires together. The two inner ones I twist together, and I'll explain in a minute why. And then, of course, I twist the shield. And the reason we twist the inner ones together, and by the way, we strip them back about 1/4 inch and twist them together. The reason is that a lot of the kit radios, if you're looking for a straight key, if it sees the ring and the sleeve shorted together, it automatically says, oh, this is a mono plug and it's a straight key. So a lot of the QCX type radios and the Rockmites and several of the other kits automatically detect that that's a straight key. So that's why we short those together, and we twist them together. The other part, we trim the shield back about 1/2 inch, so that wire is actually shorter, and then we solder the lugs on it. Now you'll notice that when I soldered it, I tin a little bit farther back. That gives a little more strength to that, because after all, that's going to be flexing a bit as you tap up and down on the key, and same thing goes with the inner conductors that we've twisted together and we solder onto the lug. And then we put it in, and you'll notice that I pulled back on the cable. So now all that excess cable is pulled back, and the little slot in the front is where the strain relief is, and it's a sharp enough turn that once it's retracted, that wire's not going to pull out. Now you'll see, of course, we have the ground one is the short one, and the longer one goes to the top. So then we use the two hinge screws, and we put the top assembly on, And you can see how we screwed with the short screw the two inner conductors, and then the shield one goes to the bottom. And what I did was I actually left a little longer on one of these for a good photo example. And the reason is that the top part, you don't want it held too close to the bottom while you're trying to put that one screw in the top. Once again, by just pulling back gently on the wire, you can retract it once you've got it all together, so you don't have a problem in pulling it apart. Now you say, of course, where does that spring go? Well, once you have it together, we put the center screw in the top. Now, one of the things I neglected to say is at the beginning, what I do is I take a tiny drop, the tiniest drop of cyanoacrylate glue, which a lot of people call crazy glue, and I glue the washer to the well that's in the top of the key. And what that does is that makes a nice solid top detent for the key when you release it. And the screw that you see here near the bottom, we adjust that to adjust the gap between the key and the contacts. The spring, while the key is screwed in place but not very tightly, I take a needle nose pliers and I squeeze a couple of the turns of the spring together. I slide it in there and I release it. Now, the way you adjust the tension of the spring is the farther forward it is in that little rectangular well, the more pressure it will take to push the key down. If you shove it farther back, you get a little more leverage against the spring, and so it doesn't take as much pressure. So then all you do is you turn that top screw down and you set the gap and make sure it keys freely. There's no binding or anything. And you have yourself a working key. And this is what it looks like when you're looking from the top. You see that adjustment screw there. So you only got 5 screws, a washer and a spring and an audio cable and two solder lugs. And you have 2 3D printed pieces. And it takes several hours to produce about 10 of these at a time. And I found it to be a neat, easy to put together kit that would be absolutely worthwhile to do for beginning kit builders or for people who like portable radios, as we were talking about operating portable. And we're going to switch back to the camera. Hopefully you now see me. And this radio here, which we showed last time as being a kit I just did, I plugged that key into this radio yesterday, and with 5 watts out into just a double bazooka, which is a dipole, I worked 3 of the 13 colony stations. Not even with the keyer, I used the straight key. So I actually sounded kind of unique to them in the pileup because they could pretty well tell there was a straight key. And I made 3 of the 13 colonies contacts on this radio with 5 watts.
Wow.
So that was fun, and it was using one of these keys to prove that it's absolutely worthwhile. Very low cost project for clubs and stuff to do. But I'll be making a few kits of these, and I'm sure at a few upcoming Hamfests, I'll be doing this as a group kit build.
Nice.
Great job. Great job.
I do have to ask all the remaining hosts. So who else worked the 13 colonies? Gordo, did you work them?
3. I got 3.
I'm not sure how many I got. I got to go back and look and see how close I got to a sweep, but it's a lot of fun. It's always fun to do it. And I'd say half of them were all portable while I was doing Parks on the Air activation.
Nice.
I got a sweep here. All of them.
I did not get the sweep with the bonuses. I got the 13 plus Pennsylvania, the WM3. Wow. So I tried some FT8, but you guys don't mess up doing FT8 because then people will yell at you. That's a true statement.
But you're just getting started on FT8. You're just getting started.
I should have just, in one of my macros, been like, newbie, be nice. That should have been one of the statements there.
Seriously, it should have been, yeah.
Because I'm so like late to the game that they just probably thought I was a seasoned operator and being like a total alpha hotel on their frequency, and I'm like, that's not what I was doing.
No. Yeah.
Joe, one question, because we know that you buy every soldering iron possible. So somebody wants to know, what do you think of the Schneider temperature-controlled soldering station that's now on sale at Harbor Freight?
I have not looked at it. I will have to look at it and see what that is. But it's, I will look to see what it is. I won't be able to answer it here, but if they direct contact me through my QRZ email address, I'll be glad to take a look at that and see what it looks like. I use a Edson 951SX, which is also called the Loner. That is my main one on the bench. In addition, I have a couple of soldering stations from Xtronic USA that I use that are also temperature controlled. They have digital readout and they keep the temperature like the other ones to within plus or minus 2 degrees Celsius. Because that way when you're soldering, like Gordon was showing, what I do is I usually, when I have a contact like that, I just turn the heat up all the way. And your regular pencil irons and stuff, once they come in contact with that, the temperature is going to drop. But in a temperature controlled soldering station that has digital or analog temperature control, it's able to pass more current to the tip to keep the temperature up there. The solder will flow straight through. And as he showed, instead of the solder just being on one side of the board, it's going to flow through and get a nice connection on the top of the board too. And it's not going to come off during field day. And yes, I used a strip similar to that on field day, and it worked just fine.
Very good. Well, thanks, Joe, for being here this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Joe, you're going to find him at Huntsville Hamfest. I don't think he's going to be able to be on. You're going to submit a video for the 500th, which is going to take place August 4th. Don't miss that. That leads us into Josh.
Yes.
Josh, you found in my bag. Oh,
go ahead, Gordo.
Amanda, Joe is coming to the West Coast Pacificon in October. So, Joe, welcome to the West Coast.
Yes, I will be at Huntsville and Pacificon.
All right. That sounds awesome. I think both are going to be a big, big hit this year. Mostly Huntsville Hamfest. I think it's going to be
be crazy. Yeah.
I really look forward to it.
I think a lot of people do. All right. We're going to break with you. As I say on the radio, I'm going to break with you, Joe. And we're going to head over to Josh. Josh, what do you got for us this evening?
So some of you may have heard of Ray Novak's magical trunk. Yes, the magical trunk. Well, the great people over at ICOM and Ray Novak, to kind of make something special for the 500 episode, he gifted me a bit of magic in my my LD 192 here. So sorry, LC 192 backpack. We are gonna do a giveaway, and you're gonna. More details actually next week on how to enter, so don't freak out, everybody in the chat. We'll have full details. You can actually do something to get in on it next week, so that'll give you 2 weeks before the 500 episode to get in on it. So what's included in the bag? Let's check it out. All right, so in the bag for those that win the giveaway here, there will be an AH705 tuner to go in the field with. So fantastic tuner, works both with non-resonant antennas as well as just random wire links. That's what it's designed for. And of course, there will be a 705.
All right.
So we will be giving away a 705 to someone on the 500 episode. And boy, yeah, check out my noise. I think somebody turned on the treadmill in my bedroom. That's why the noise is so high. So yeah, that's what we're going to be giving away, guys. I appreciate everybody. Oh, we lost Amanda there. Sorry, I didn't warn you. We're going to be giving it away on the 500 episode, and then the next episode, which is $4.99, we'll give you the links and all that to how we figure out to get you in on the giveaway. So you'll then have 2 weeks to join us. So make sure that you watch the next episode 2 weeks from now, and you'll get all the details.
Yeah, that's right. So I now retire as host of Hamnation so that I can enter this giveaway.
Right?
Everybody knows that I win stuff, and since I'm ineligible, gives everybody a much bigger chance.
That's right.
Right.
Okay. I would really love to win this item. I camping portable, like this would be the setup that I would want to use. So Josh, I have to talk about this, Josh. You don't mind? Josh
Yes.
went out on a POTA this weekend, and we happened to have a conference call, and he's like, I'm headed to a POTA, and I'm like, tell me where you are. So I tuned in and listened to him. Were you using this?
No, I was on a 7300.
Okay.
I was on my Go box, my aforementioned Go box. I was also using a Delta Loop antenna, though. That was the antenna I was using out in the field. So I was probably getting a little bit of NVIS as well as a bit directionality out of it. And there's some nulls to it, but my furthest contact was South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
On voice. On voice, which not for 100 watts, that's not bad at all. I was very happy with that on a Delta Loop. So yeah.
It seriously isn't. And I saw you spotted like numerous times.
Mhm,
And I
yeah.
don't think I spotted you right. Like I didn't get the park right, but I got the 1139.
Yes.
That part right. But no, you were doing good because people were hearing you definitely because I saw you spotted a lot. You guys, I want to talk about the 500th episode a bit. Everyone, I've heard a few things chatter here and there on HF, like, oh, we're really looking forward to what you're going to do on the 500th, and we have it really simple this year. You know, a changeover, things like that, COVID. We weren't going to go really, really crazy, and this could change, but we thought we should keep our net controls and our after show nets and Discord involved in this. So we're really looking forward to offering all of you a special certificate if you check in after the 500th episode and checking into one of the nets. You don't even have to check into all of them, just one, and you're going to get a 500th episode special certificate. So we're going to preview that certificate on the next show, I think. And we're looking forward to this. And it's really important to keep you guys on the air. So watch us here, yes, but really, seriously, stay active on the air. So that's what we're looking forward to. And all of us hosts are going to join on those after show nets and on Discord. So
Oh, we're going to have to sort that out. Yep. We got to get to work on that then.
We got that thing to do. So, anyhow, I really look forward to it. The 500th is just, I cannot believe. I've been on the show for 42 episodes myself, not constantly, but like a lot of them. And Gordo, how many shows have you been on?
All but one.
Okay. So he's been
Scary.
on since number 2. Amazing. That's an amazing feat. It's been a lot, and it seems like it was like 2 years ago. So anyhow, stay tuned. We're going to have more details coming up the next show on July 21st. So I think we're done with this show. Let's go around the horn and see if anyone has anything else before we wrap it up here.
How about Joe? You take it away.
All right. Well, it was fun working the colonies, including a few with the straight key and the little radio as well. And I got to take my hats off to those people. I've been on the other side of this when I did the last man standing and being piled up on for hours on end and hardly getting out of the chair, and wishing I had people coming to me like that on sweepstakes. But it was a wonderful operation, and other than the solar flare that Tamitha mentioned, it was a wonderful event, and using the 7610 and those Pro 7 headsets and the beam and stuff, I made lots of contacts. And thank you again to the 13 colonies people.
Yes, indeed.
And I will see people in Huntsville and at Pacificon.
Yes. All right, Gordo, how about you? Any last comments?
I'm set. I can't wait till the 500th, and we look forward to hearing folks on 40 meters either tonight or in a few more weeks when we go on the air.
Very good. Amanda, rounding us out. I'll take a couple words at the end, but go for it.
I got I don't have anything else. Stay tuned.
Okay.
We got more.
Well, Just want to remind everybody, that's why you watch this live, so you can see all the bumps that we go through along the road. I think we hit every Skype update as we fell down the Skype update tree, every branch along the way. I don't know what happened, but we'll sort out some of those little bumps, except for my fault with the mic. That was totally me. The Skype, though, was very weird tonight. But anyway, we'll always improve. Thank you so much for watching it. If you did enjoy this, give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. We would appreciate it. We'll play you out until we talk to you again in 2 weeks and tell you how to get on that cool giveaway. A big 73s to everybody.
And Bob Heil, thank you for being there tonight with us, Bob.
Bob's back. Hold on. Where is he? I would get him back in here. There he is. I moved things around because he was off for a second. Bob, you're back.
Yep.
I got you. We'll Tetris you in here real quick.
Well, I've been watching the whole thing, and I appreciate being on tonight, and greetings to all watching. And we'll be here for the 500, that's for sure.
All right.
Woo! Yeah. And
I believe it's been 500.
Yeah, we will be in Pacificon doing a lot of stuff there for them. So that's my schedule. Otherwise, I'm here every night in this same position talking to clubs around. Not only in America, we've done a bunch in the UK and Australia and wherever. But enjoy coming to club meetings. All you got to do is send me a date. So thanks, Josh, Amanda,
absolutely,
Gordo, Joe, Don. I think Don's gone. So we'll talk to you somewhere, high or low, but it'll be somewhere in there.
Thank you so much, Bob. And I sent it to everybody but me to say thank you for being here tonight. And it was really a pleasure. No one else got to see this. This was behind the scenes. We got to say hello to Sarah, which was just an absolute pleasure, and to Gracie. So thank you, Bob, so much. We all love you, and you should see the chat room. They went crazy seeing you on here tonight. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mention those nets, Amanda.
Okay, yeah, we can't forget the nets. We have HF, and I can't believe it. Steve, W7UDI is not out on a fire right now, so he said try around 14,275 on 20. And Kev has sent me some wonderful pictures from field day. I'm going to show those on the 21st. And also, one of his, he just got a get-together in his front yard, which was amazing. I'm going to show those. And try him on 7195. Also, we have D-Star on 14 Charlie and DMR on 31012. So you guys join in.
And
get your practice done.
And I'll be heading over to the Discord after chat. I think we got a little bit of time on the 13 colonies, like an hour or so. So I'm going to try and double check and see.
I think you got 2 hours and 28 minutes.
Okay.
No, wait, 3 hours and 28 minutes. Sorry.
I'll go see how many I have left. I think I might have got most of them. I think it might be that one, the COL Britain station, which is, I don't know how difficult that's going to be. So anyway. All right. Allow me to play you out, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. 73. See ya.
Yeah.
73.
So long.